Marvel has a stellar track record, but they've also canceled a number of TV shows before they were even made, including a line of adult cartoons spearheaded by Chelsea Handler. So what went wrong? Keep watching to find out. When Marvel Television was just getting off the ground in the early 2010s, one of its initial projects was to relaunch the Hulk on TV. Considering how successful the Bill Bixby show had been in the 70s, it was no surprise that Marvel was looking to return the character to that medium. Guillermo del Toro was hired to shepherd the project, and at 2011's San Diego Comic-Con, the project was said to have a tone somewhere between Smallville and Twilight. This was all decided on before Mark Ruffalo replaced Edward Norton as Bruce Banner in The Avengers, though. The success of The Avengers changed everything. Suddenly, a Hulk TV show didn't make sense. By October 2012, Del Toro admitted the project had stalled out. The Hulk is capable of many incredible feats, but getting an ABC program of his own in the wake of The Avengers wasn't one of them. The Punisher made his way to television through an extended supporting role in Daredevil before spinning off into his own solo Netflix program in 2017. With Jon Bernthal playing the character, the Punisher ripped through all sorts of unseemly villains in his time as a streaming service fixture. That almost didn't happen though, because back in 2011, Fox announced they'd greenlit a pilot for a different Punisher TV show hailing from Criminal Minds showrunner Ed Bernero. Translating a character as vicious as the Punisher to the world of broadcast television would require some heavy reworking. As planned, the show would have reimagined Frank Castle as an NYPD detective who takes on the Punisher persona at night, which would be a massive departure for the character. For better or worse though, the show never saw the light of day. No future developments were announced, and the project just disappeared, clearing the way for the Netflix version. In 2011, Marvel Television showed up at San Diego Comic-Con with a whole slew of high-profile TV projects to show off. These included early versions of Jessica Jones and Cloak and Dagger, as well as one show that never got made, Mockingbird. Yes, the future Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. character was once set to headline her own TV show for ABC Family. It would have been very different though. Marvel Television head Jeff Loeb revealed it was about a young Bobby Morse who, as a freshman science whiz at a Silicon Valley university, gets recruited by S.H.I.E.L.D. and has to balance spy work with the life of a normal student. This proposed Mockingbird show seemed like a natural fit for ABC Family's programming lineup. However, no further news emerged after all the razzle-dazzle of an SDCC announcement. Of course, a new incarnation of Morse went on to be a pivotal part of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., closing the book on this Mockingbird TV show. Speaking of which, following the demise of her planned ABC Family show, Mockingbird got a second shot at headlining a television program with Marvel's Most Wanted. A proposed Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. spin-off, this would have seen Bobby Morse and Lance Hunter going on the lam to have their own action-filled adventures separate from Phil Coulson and company.
That's the fun stuff. I love doing the action.
The show had numerous stops and starts, with ABC passing on the show in May of 2015, only for the network to revive their interest by the end of the summer. The pilot was shot in early 2016, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. even built up the spin-off by giving Morse and Hunter a concrete farewell. Despite all this, Marvel's Most Wanted met a discouraging demise. ABC passed on the pilot in May of 2016, saying that it was, quote, not as strong as some of the other pilots that we shot. In the mid-2010s, 20th Century Fox got busy expanding the X-Men over to TV, with Legion airing on FX and The Gifted playing on Fox. One other proposed Fox program was Hellfire, which would have centered on the villainous Hellfire Club that the likes of Sebastian Shaw and Emma Frost belonged to. The group previously appeared in X-Men First Class, and the show would have followed the adventures of an agent who infiltrates the evil organization. But Hellfire never got off the ground beyond an initial announcement and a vague promise to air in 2016. After the show was confirmed to be dead, producer Lauren Schuler Donner revealed the reason behind dumping Hellfire, simply stating, quote, it was too many characters and not enough depth of character.
The bigger they are, the more pieces they make.
Following the success of shows like Rick and Morty, it looked like Marvel Television was aiming to make a big swing in the adult cartoon genre through a series of cartoons on Hulu. Among those proposed shows was a series titled Tigra and Dazzler, which would have starred the two titular superheroes as imagined through the comedic filter of Chelsea Handler. Sadly, trouble emerged for the project in December of 2019 when it was first reported that the show's writing staff had been fired. Though Handler remained, Tigra and Dazzler was eventually canceled the following month. The demise came about as Marvel Studios took over control of Marvel Television, with the division deciding to shift its focus over to programming for the Disney Plus streaming service. Though he started out as a minor player in the comics, Brother Voodoo has become quite a prominent character in his own right. In fact, he's garnered such importance that he even took the Sorcerer Supreme mantle from Doctor Strange. No wonder then that such a notable superhero would be eyeballed for a TV series, with the Sci-Fi Network looking to get a Brother Voodoo show off the ground way back in 2003. The plan for Voodoo was to film a 2-hour TV movie that could also double as a pilot for a proposed series, but it never got beyond the press release. Still, though his sci-fi series went nowhere, there's hope yet for another Brother Voodoo adaptation. The appearance of his twin brother Daniel Drum in Doctor Strange indicates he could have a future in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Poor Howard the Duck. His solo adaptations into other media rarely go well. Despite being an incredibly popular comic book character in the 1970s, Howard's reputation was tainted by a legendarily bad 1986 movie.
You think I might find happiness in the animal kingdom, Ducky?
Like they say, Dal, love's strange. We could always give it a try.
And his misfortune didn't end there. After decades of being a supporting figure in the comics, Howard was poised to return to leading duck status thanks to a proposed Hulu cartoon that never saw the light of day. The show was announced alongside a slew of other Hulu Marvel cartoons aimed at adult audiences. Each of them were handed high-profile behind-the-scenes talent, with Kevin Smith placed in charge of Howard the Duck. Smith said, "Let's be honest, I'm not talented enough to handle any of the Avengers, but Howard is definitely in my wheelhouse." His enthusiasm was palpable, but unfortunately, it wasn't enough to ensure the show made it onto Hulu. Howard the Duck was canceled roughly a year after it was first announced, with Marvel Studios putting its focus on Disney Plus series instead. Smith reacted to the news with an appropriate statement on Twitter, saying, "Alas, Howard remains trapped in a world he never made."
That's it. No more Mr. Nice Duck.
On the big screen, Marvel teamed up superheroes for the Avengers. On Netflix, its street-level heroes created the Defenders. For their planned Hulu cartoons, Marvel opted to go in a different, more comical direction by merging warped, irrelevant characters to create the Offenders, a team-up between Howard the Duck, Tigra and Dazzler, MODOK, and Hit Monkey. The show would have been the culmination of all of Hulu and Marvel's forays into adult animation. Needless to say, it never got made, as the cancellation of Howard the Duck and Tigra and Dazzler scuttled 3 of the show's proposed 5 members. The Offenders never actually got canceled, but with so many of its members never getting their own series, it seems unlikely the Offenders will ever exist. The second live-action version of Ghost Rider made his debut in the 4th season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. While audiences were used to seeing the Johnny Blaze version of the character, the one who appeared in S.H.I.E.L.D. was Robbie Reyes. Played by Gabriel Luna, the character was both friend and foe, and he garnered positive remarks from critics and viewers. Inevitably, this led to whispers in 2016 about Ghost Rider getting his own show, with the official announcement coming in May of 2019. Ghost Rider was announced alongside Helstrom as part of Marvel and Hulu's commitment to develop horror-themed superhero programming. But that was about as far as the Marvel show got. Just months after it was first announced, news broke that Ghost Rider had been canceled, likely due to the end of Marvel Television. Fresh off writing the screenplay for 12 Years a Slave, writer John Ridley had a lot of high-profile offers. One of the most exciting was his plan to leap into the Marvel Cinematic Universe with a show for ABC. It was an endeavor that fit many of Ridley's interests. Thanks to the anthology show American Crime, Ridley had plenty of experience with ABC, and his work with DC Comics meant Ridley was no stranger to comic book properties. There was no word on what character Ridley planned to tackle with the project, but he would later note that it would be keenly aware of socio-political issues, and that he was aiming to create a superhero TV show heavy on fun. And ABC was still confident in the project nearly 2 years after its announcement, as Ridley toiled away on fine-tuning it. However, news on the production stalled from there. In 2020, Marvel announced Ridley would be writing some comics for them, but so far, nothing on screen has materialized. At one point in time, Marvel and ABC were keen on producing half-hour comedies like Damage Control. Focusing on a company that cleans up after superhero battles, Damage Control had a premise that seemed ripe for both television and for generating humorous situations. ABC President Paul Lee noted in January 2016 that Damage Control is the one that's going to be coming out this season. We hope it's going to be great. In the end, though, Damage Control was just one of the many proposed TV shows that died on the vine. Instead, the group found its way into the MCU through Spider-Man: Homecoming, at least keeping alive the possibility we may see them again in some form or another. At one point in time, a New Warriors show starring Squirrel Girl as the leader of a group of teenage superheroes was set to be a major deal for the Freeform network. Not only would it have been a major superhero series, but it was set to launch a bunch of spin-offs. Freeform's Carrie Burke said, "The characters they've chosen are all really singular, and could each carry the show that they're on. They're bound together as a band of underdogs for as long as we choose with this show, but it's conceptually tailor-made for spin-offs." None of those plans would ever see the light of day though, as New Warriors was abruptly dropped by Freeform. And even though New Warriors had a set cast and a finished pilot, producers failed to attract the show a new home. Despite Marvel Television's best efforts to find a new network, New Warriors was ultimately canned in 2019. After Atlanta became a breakout success, FX wanted to continue being in the Donald Glover business. Meanwhile, the colossal box office success of Deadpool meant that the entire Fox conglomerate wanted to put the hero in everything. These two desires collided with a proposed cartoon for grown-ups that would air on FXX and be spearheaded by Glover. Despite the show being littered with talent though, news broke in March of 2018 that it wasn't going forward. Glover took to Twitter to deliver a scathing 15-page script in which Deadpool explains why the show was never made, attributing the show's demise to marketing concerns from Marvel. FX head John Landgraf later clarified that Marvel had pulled the plug and that FX was still behind the program, despite Deadpool co-creator Rob Liefeld saying in May of 2019 that a new version of this project was on the way. No further news on a raunchy Deadpool TV cartoon has emerged. This merc with a mouth may be unkillable as a character, but his TV show has ended up as dead as a doornail. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more Looper videos about your favorite Marvel shows are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.